This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not baby full time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not baby full time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not baby full time. Long time got some lang logy, now you got some bungalow. Long time got some lang logy, now you got some bungalow. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not baby full time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not baby full time. Long time got some dirty dam, now you got some concrete road. Long time got some dirty dam, now you got some concrete road. Long time got some dirty dam, now you got some concrete road. Long time got some dirty dam, now you got some concrete road. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not baby full time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not baby full time. Long time got some juk lamp, now you got some electric light. Long time got some juk lamp, now you got some electric light. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not baby full time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not baby full time. Long time got some broad bottom, now you got some tight straight. Long time got some broad bottom, now you got some tight straight. Long time got some broad bottom, now you got some tight straight. Long time got some broad bottom, now you got some tight straight. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not baby full time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not baby full time. Long time got some broad churia, now you got some bamboo jai. Long time got some broad churia, now you got some bamboo jai. Long time got some broad churia, now you got some bamboo jai. Long time got some broad churia, now you got some bamboo jai. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not baby full time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not baby full time. Long time full and bucket water, now you got some overhead. Long time full and bucket water, now you got some overhead. Long time full and bucket water, now you got some overhead. Long time full and bucket water, now you got some overhead. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not baby full time. This ain't
Hey fans, it's karaoke and oldies night this and every Thursday at Club Twilight Sideline Dam, Buxton. Dance to the magical songs of yesteryear by popular DJs and Camps Audio. Admission is free. Come out, let's make memories at Club Twilight Sideline Dam, Buxton North.
Yeah, my name is Jasmine Caldata, Francis C. Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my ex next to the cup, and what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data.
Oh, Jesus Christ, if cost of living double, I don't know what happened. A pound of sugar is $300 already. Flour, everything gone up. Everything just raising. You gotta get about $40,000 for buy good ration. You gotta get 3 man now. A weekend man, a monthly man, and a fortnight man.
How we gonna do a body man walk right now? You ready? Box on, let me go now. Hear me sing now. Body walk. Body walk, body walk, everything, body walk, truck, body walk, body walk, body.
Donna Daniels, a 65-year-old resident of Parfait Harmony, now lives in fear after receiving multiple threats against her and her family's safety. The threats allegedly are coming from her immediate neighbors, who claim connections to the president and vice president, and believe they can act with impunity. Daniels has since urged the authorities to launch an investigation.
And Mr. Ali and Mr. Jagdo, if you are going, Mr. Ali would do see if the lady opposite is the cousin or she doing set of wickedness and call in name. You're going to see them card they say who they
whether that lady is still crying for justice. And the people who, whether they're lying that they're related to Irfan Ali, whoever is lying, that lady is not lying. We know that for sure. Those people probably are coveting her land, attempting to covet her land. They're covetous, just like Irfan Ali and all these pakus. We know the situation with the Lincoln Lewis and his family land, the Kojo McPherson's generation out in Kingley. We know what happened. We know what they attempted to do. They went out there and they tried to covet the people's land. Lincoln Lewis generation, his ancestors, Kojo McPherson and those folks. But look, they got another land issue on right when you come off the Rosignol Stelling. I'm not sure how many of you have gone to Berbice. Quite a few of you have not even gone to Linden, Yalingo, Berbice. I know how Guyana is right there. Berbice is just like about an hour and a half, 2 hours away, and many of y'all never gone to Berbice. Audrey Brown probably never went to Berbice. Matthew Dennison, always listening from Harlem, he never went to Berbice. Ray Mango never went to Berbice, across the Berbice River Bridge I'm talking about, or even when they had the Turani, from Rosignol to Berbice Stelling. A lot of you don't even know that. I'm sure Rhonda Lane, our good friend Rhonda Lane, has not gone to the quarantine. Never in her life. If I'm wrong, tell me. Tell me, guys. I know Miss Booker's gone there. Azur probably barely went there. Lachman Aziz, she goes all over. Every time you see there's a PNC function, look out for Lachman Aziz and her husband. Lachman, what's going on in your neck of the woods? Saw the other day there was a fire. One man lost his life. And the business people in that community are complaining about the fire service. They're complaining about that. We'll get back to that in just a minute. But Rhonda Lane is saying she went Kimbia. Kimbia doesn't come. Oh yeah, well, you guys know where Kimbia is, right? But go to the quarantine though. All right, hey, good night. Good night. Strictly Passion. Passion. Oh, Strictly Passion. Yeah, these Guyanese and their real name, Strictly Passion. Just like Beryl, Hurricane Beryl is operating with a passion, ripping through. I think Beryl is sneaking into Jamaica right now, but Jamaica is safe. Trust me. I really do mean Jamaica is safe. All the Jamaicans have to do is just make sure that they put mackerel up on a mountain and let Beryl come face to face with mackerel. And you'll see Beryl will make a U-turn right away. Talk about being scared, right? Oh, anyway, sorry, I shouldn't be doing that. This is a serious show. Good night to all of you and welcome to Straight Up. My name is Mark Benshaw. The other day, we forgot to wish Brenda a happy birthday. Brenda Braffett. Or Brenda Braithwaite. A happy birthday to Brenda. Happy birthday to you, Brenda. We miss it. We're like a family. And this is our dining room. Every single night, this is where we are. This is where we sit down as a family, regardless of your religion, regardless of your ethnicity, regardless if you swing so or if you swing that side. We're all here together, regardless of if you're grassroots, if you're middle class, if you're way up there. We are all together, regardless of if you hang out at the market, if you hang out at Bamba Mali. It doesn't matter. We're all in this struggle together to see the backs of the PPP regime. Again, good night to all of you. Wayne Caesar should be on in about 5 or 10 minutes or so. I don't know. We've asked our operator Lemon, and you guys are going to see Lemon someday, right? But what else is happening? I know you guys want to get ring down in the politics and all, but if you notice, we slowed down. We taking it easy, nice and slow. Nice and slow. Brenda Braffett is saying, thank you. Thank you. You're welcome, Brenda. Brenda does work hard on Facebook, every day, Brenda, and all of them, Brenda Braffett. And then they get Brenda Casey and Jamal and all these guys, Shoy. Yeah. We haven't had Gibson. Shoy Gibson. Yeah. We haven't had Shoy on this program for a while. We got to get Shoy. We got to get back some guests, but we're taking it easy for now. We're taking it easy. Good night again to all of you. Some of you are getting upset that I say that you guys haven't gone to quarantine. But let's talk about that fire. Bushlat, Jamal Aziz, and Lachman. So what about that fire? Every single time there's a fire, for the most part, every single time there's a fire, for the most part, guess what happens? There's really nothing. Yep, we got bumped off for a quick second, right? Blackout in GT, the usual blackout. The taxpayers are paying millions, hundreds of millions of dollars for a ship. It actually turns out to be a ship of a deal. Every single thing these guys touch, every single thing, guys, every single thing they touch, it's a failure. GPL ship turns out to be a real ship. Turns out to be a real ship on the backs of the Guyanese people. A waste of time. GPL ship is just a form of corruption. That is what it is. They don't mean anything well as it comes to easing the blackout. They just don't do it. They don't mean anything well, guys. All they do is a bunch of nonsense. Every single time, it's corruption, corruption, cover up, corruption, corruption, cover up. They gone out till to Grenada and in the islands and all these sort of things, say that they're helping out the people in Grenada. I don't want you guys to get me wrong. All of our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean or wherever, whoever needs help and we can afford, or anybody can afford to help, yes. But charity begins at home. The people of Linden, no help from the corrupt PPP. No help from the corrupt PPP. Absolutely no help from the corrupt PPP. No help from the corrupt PPP. I notice Essequibo promoting other shows on this. We don't promote other shows here. Essequibo, with all due respect, you don't come here. We don't promote Paku shows at all, regardless of who is on it. So with all due respect, thank you, Lemon. We do not promote Paku shows on this program at all. So please do not promote certain shows on here at all, regardless of who goes on. All right, so what else is happening? Hey, before we get to Wayne Caesar, where's our operator? Lemon, let's get something for our audience, please.
Hawk 2.
One more time.
Hawk 2. Hawk 2. Hawk 2.
Mr. Caesar, good night. How are you, sir?
Good evening, Mark. I am doing very well. Good evening to all the listeners and viewers. Good night. Good night.
Let's touch on that fire out there at West Coast Berbice, Bushlat. I don't know. All those folks should have gotten out there and helped to throw the fire, the water brigade, and so forth. We know that particular village. I'm not blaming everybody in the village during the 2020 elections. the firemen and policemen, they were chased, they were beaten, and all sort of things. But the people in the business people now needed help. And they're now saying that the fire trucks and the fire folks took a long time and they're to be blamed and all. The very village that chased a lot of those folks out of the village, beat policemen up. They beat up stone school bus and all sort of things, beat up nurses. I mean, I'm not saying that because of what majority of them in the village did, that they deserve this sort of treatment. Neither am I saying that the businesses that were affected were part of that as well. But what is your take with the complaints, though, that the fire service, they were basically inadequate? Your take?
Well, Mark, maybe so. I am not sure. I guess those finer details will come out eventually. But Mark, when we look at fire service across Guyana, Mark, the service is not good generally. So the equipment is not, robust and sophisticated and meeting the criteria that they should meet, Mark. So we can't expect to have this excellent fire service. The roads is not conducive. You just can't speed down the roads. The roads are full of bumps, whether it's speed bumps or whether it's holes in the road. All these things account for slowing down, the fire service getting to a fire, in a timely manner. And then people have to understand, you don't know what position the firemen would have been in, how long it took them to get to the vehicle and all this type of stuff. And Mark, most of the times when these vehicles do get to the scene of a fire, a lot of times there's a lack of water, amongst other things. So it's a lot of things, Mark. And listen, it all starts with standards, and Guyana doesn't have the best of standards when it comes to fire and how these things are addressed. They just don't.
Apart from that, though, the village by itself, majority of those in the village should have gone out there. Water brigade, the businesses that suffered, according to information, they are supporters. For the most part, they are supporters of the opposition. And people are beginning to wonder whether it was deliberately set or whatever the situation is. But we do recall that that village during the course of the 2020 general and regional elections. And so with those individuals, again, as I've said in the beginning, this is not to say because of what the villagers, majority of them shouldn't be painted with the same, those in the village should not be painted with the same brush. There are lots of opposition supporters in that village, in that area. And the PPP has lost a significant amount of support in that area, in that particular village, and also Bat settlement and so forth. Lots and lots of stuff. And so some of the villagers are complaining now because the fire service didn't go there on time. I'm sure they turned up with one truck, maybe two trucks, fire trucks, and then there was no water. What is your take, Mr. Caesar, on the billions of dollars with little tiny roads and nothing about fire hydrants and so forth and so on?
You see, Mark, that's a part of the bigger issue here. It all starts there, where you have all these large amounts of money that is being budgeted, but it's not being allocated. You're not seeing the money. You're not seeing where it's going. They talk about all this infrastructural works, but you're not seeing the works. You're seeing a few buildings going up here and there. And for the most part, those buildings are privately owned. At least that's what you're hearing. We know that the PPP by nature is not a people-centric government or a people-centric party. It has proven to be so over the years, over the decades, Mark. It's all about nepotism, and this is a good reflection of what you get from a PPPC, Mark, party. Everything is done on an inadequate level. everything doesn't meet standards. And I am not surprised. And then to hear that, the homes may have been, the homes not may have been, the homes are owned by supporters of the opposition. You don't know if a phone call was made to further stymie the process. You don't know that. That could have absolutely be the case, because that's the way the PPPC have shown to have operated over time. So I would not be surprised. And if the fire trucks do show up, Mark, and it's and there's no water there, that is common. That is common.
And then there was a gentleman who lost his life as well. As a result of that, folks are saying negligence of the fire service. And just the other night, I reminded the listeners that the fire chief has passed his retirement age. And whilst the government of the day, the so-called government of the day, is holding back any sort of fundings for those folks in the fire service, I still salute those hardworking men and women, the firefighters, who have to go out there and risk their lives. But on top of that, it's like you're giving them bucket or basket for fetch water. That's what's happening. Billions of dollars spent on stuff that are not necessarily fire related. Lots of money being stolen. The nepotism, the corruption in the fire department from the higher echelons. You have a man who's sitting there as acting for our fire chief, who is past the age of retirement, who is, according to information, stifling the junior ranks when it comes to promotion and all manner of things. Lots and lots of allegations of corruption in the fire service. And it's pointing directly at the fingers of the man who is in charge, said to be a stone cold PPP. Now, that's not how a country should be run. And every time there's a fire somewhere, there's always, for the most part, complaints upon complaints upon complaints. Even if the firefighters, they have a proper truck. And then you turn up at the scene, there's no water. The trucks are basically small trucks. How many gallons of water can be in that tank? But they show up on the scene, there's no water, there's no fire hydrant, there's nothing. And this corrupt PPP regime, certainly they're not serious about that. And that is why every single time we'll have this problem once there's a fire somewhere in Guyana.
Mark, earlier you spoke of water brigades. That's old school. A lot of Guyanese today think that Guyana is sophisticated. So they forget about, these old time, strategies that were used, and to be honest with you, Guyanese are fed up across the board. People are not motivated the way they used to be back in that time. So it's just sad to see how things are occurring in Guyana, one after the other. These tragedies are happening. So many people are dying, whether it's vehicular accidents or fire, people are dying. And Mark, you talk about the fire chief being beyond, or he has met his retirement age already. Listen, this shouldn't come as a surprise, because the acting police commissioner would have also met his retirement age. The PPP always have a tendency to keep the people in place that will do their bidding. That is what this is all about. They hold these guys in place because these guys are going to do the bidding for them. They're going to take orders and they're going to follow orders. That is simply the situation across the board when it comes to these retirees who continue to stay on the job and being paid excellently.
Corruption upon corruption. Not so long ago on the quarantine, Port Moran, there was another fire, and a teacher died. A teacher died in that fire. Inadequate equipment from the fire service, lots and lots of excuses, and nobody seems to care. Absolutely no one. That Nimakaram that they have there as Minister of Home Affairs, Robeson Ben, is a complete waste of time. And one of the things, Mr. Caesar, one of the things that actually makes me smile and sometimes I get a little bit upset Every time Guyanese see that there's a massive protest in another country, they rush on their Facebook page to say, Guyana, 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 you see what could happen? And nothing. In Kenya, there's massive protests going on, and they jump and say, Guyana, I hope that the PPP is watching. How the heck they hope the PPP is watching when there's so many times, so many instances that they exist in Guyana, and people don't go out and they don't protest, they don't do nothing. 8 of them go out in front of or 6 of them go out in front of GCOM to protest. They make sure the camera there on their face and they go on their way. That's all. Take a quick picture, take a camera shot, and you're gone your way. These folks in Guyana are not serious about holding the PPP accountable. They believe that sitting home or sitting in their offices, whether at Congress Place, whether at the AFC headquarters, or wherever, to sit down and eat chana and just talk and feel that that sort of protest action is not necessary. But it is necessary. At some point in time, they're going to wake up and realize that the only thing that will make the PPP run is heavy street protest. Over to you.
Well, Mark, I could not agree with you more, because you continue to sit in this posture that the opposition and Guyanese from a holistic perspective is sitting in right now, and it's going to just be business as usual for the PPPC. They'll just continue to do what they've been doing all the time. If they look at a set of people settled in an area, that wasn't, of course, approved by housing, they'll just go and bulldoze them. There would be no second thought, because they've never been marked any resistance. Show me a time where there have been resistance to one of these atrocities that the PPPC have committed over the past 4 years. There've never been any resistance. The most resistance that I have seen has come from the teachers. Outside of the teachers, I have not seen anything else. And Mark, well, come on. If you're not getting any resistance whatsoever, why do you think GCOM is gonna, produce a brand new list? Why do you think GCOM is gonna move towards biometrics? They're not. They're fearless. They can do whatever they want because there have been no resistance. So until they start being some real robust, solid resistance, the PPP will continue in the same posture that they are currently, working at.
Yep, same thing indeed. 34 minutes after 9 o'clock. Good night to all of you folks, beautiful people, wherever you are, whether you're in Guyana, Bushlat, Bad Settlement, Linden. Lindeners, good night. I hope you guys are watching and observing and see how the PPPC doesn't care about you guys. Jack Dale and Irfan, they do not care about you guys. They have ignored y'all all the time. Look at what you've lost from that flood. Your house, the bottom houses or the lower flat flooded out. You've lost almost everything. No visit there by a Jack Dale, no visit there by a Irfan Ali, no visit there by a Anil, or none of these guys. They don't care. And that's a fact. And don't think for a moment whenever they rush out there, because you're going to see Priya Manik Chand. She's going to be out there to give out, school vouchers and take photographs and make it appear that they mean well for you guys. They just do not. They ignored you guys. They disrespected you guys. And they hop now sending things off to Grenada for the people of Grenada. Now, the Grenadians deserve our help. The Vincentians deserve our help, despite they have a corrupt government there in St. Vincent. They deserve our help. Yes, anybody, even in Jamaica, even if Beryl hits part of Jamaica, and I hope it spares other parts of the Caribbean as well. Folks like Mackerel and them in Jamaica, they're going to want help from Guyana. But before we go out and give 10 bags of rice to Mackerel and them in Jamaica, We need to give a couple to the people in Linden. We need to fix our own problems. We have lots and lots of problems that are being ignored. A perfect example again is how this corrupt PVP regime is treating the people of Linden. No regards, none whatsoever. Mr. Caesar, are you surprised at the way the PVP is treating the Lindeners?
No, Mark, not one bit. The people of Linden have been forthwith, not supporting the PPPC, right? Linden is one of those places that they have not been able to infiltrate, although they surely would like to get their hands on Linden. Thus far, they have been very, very unsuccessful. And Mark, it's funny because in my recollection, could never have recalled Linden flooding so badly and so often. It makes you think, is this being done, fully, right? And that's something that needs to be looked into. That is something that definitely needs to be looked into. But I believe that the people of Linden will continue to stand forthwith. They're going to get through this. Of course, this is very, 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 very tragic because people are losing a lot of their furniture and their normal stuff that they have, and it's shameful. It's shameful to see that government is not giving the type of support that would be needed in such a critical time in an oil-producing nation. It is sad, and you can see that it's being done purposely. These are the type of things that you have to budget for, okay? You know that there's going to be disaster. You have to budget for that. You know that Guyana have a flooding issue, though it may not, Linden is not such a area that floods that often. It's more along the coastline that you would find flooding. But you should have disaster relief monies budgeted for such things. You know that you're extracting oil. You know that there's going to be changes in the ecosystem, amongst other things. We have not seen any type of geologists in Guyana doing any type of, research or anything to see with the extraction of this oil, what's changing. That has not happened. No one has thought about that. I'm talking about from the PPP perspective. All they care about is money. It's just money, money, money.
$1 billion.
So market shameful.
$1 billion to build a fire headquarters that is fallen. It is falling apart. Inside is falling apart. When last you guys took a look at the fire trucks in that country? Talk about the pay that the salary that the firefighters get, the firemen and the firewomen who put their lives on the line. I just want to make it quite clear that we are not attacking the firefighters, the hard-working firefighters. They are being given basket to fetch water by a corrupt PVP regime. The head of the fire service needs to go. He has passed his retirement age, and he is squatting in that position, just as the acting commissioner of police, Clifton Hicken, is squatting in that position way past his retirement age. Now, when you do that, you are preventing younger and possibly more talented and educated young men and women in the fire service and in the Guyana Police Force to take charge with new vision to fight crime, and in the case of the fire service, to ensure that they get all of those fires out and not have people's house burned down and people die and all these things. But I don't blame the firefighters. I blame the leadership of the fire service and the corrupt PPP regime. And what is your take on this here, Mr. Caesar?
Donna Daniels, a 65-year-old resident of Parfait Harmony, now lives in fear after receiving multiple threats against her and her family's safety. The threats allegedly are coming from her immediate neighbors, who claim connections to the president and vice president, and believes they can act with impunity. Daniels has since urged the authorities to launch an investigation.
And Mr. Ali and Mr. Jagdo, if you are going, Mr. Ali would do see if the lady opposite is the cousin or she doing set of wickedness and call his name. You're going to see them call they say, who they say, you is you people until last night they talk about it. You and them dealing, they have gun, them is going to shoot me. I would like to know if it's an unlicensed gun or a licensed gun.
You know, that's a friend of mine, Donnet. I didn't mention that, but Donnet is a nice woman. Donnet shouldn't be fighting for her piece of land that some folks who happen to be her neighbors want to covet that land. And we heard Donnet talked about brandishing guns and all these sort of things. Then she went to the police and the police reluctant. These things shouldn't happen. But it's happening under a corrupt government, a corrupt and racist PPP regime. What is your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that woman, Donnet, fighting for her piece of land as she's being threatened by individuals who claim that they're connected to Irfan and Bara Jagdeo?
Well, Mark, you know that it's just been about a whole land grab with the PPPC and their supporters. It's just everybody grabbing for land, right? This doesn't surprise me here, but what is concerning is that she was threatened with a weapon. That's number one. Number two, she would have went to the police station to file a report and she was ignored. Now, this story is in the news, Mark. And to the extent this story is in the news and Irfan Ali and Bara Jagdeo's names are being called as associates of the perpetrators who would have threatened this woman, it opens the door for the opposition to get involved and to find out exactly what is happening. She should not be left alone to fight this fight. Okay, this is where the opposition needs to get involved. Whichever MP is in her area.
You know, what if I interject there?
Yeah, sure. Go right ahead.
They have times when people feel that the opposition got to get involved. Everything. I don't. One second, please, sir. 1 second. Thank you. I don't subscribe to that. This is a legal matter. Of course, the names of some Pakus and some corrupt individuals have been mentioned in the PVP. What this lady needs is a competent lawyer who can step in for her and do her case pro bono and fight for her. They can do that outside of the opposition. And now, again, you said that the opposition should get involved. And I agree that there are times that they should get involved. But not everything we got to sit down and say, oh, the opposition, and the opposition, and the opposition. You are about to explain yourself, but go right ahead, sir.
Well, Mark, sometimes there are resources in the opposition that are sitting around with nothing to do. Here's an opportunity to address an issue. And since the name of Bara Jagdeo and Irfan Ali would have been invoked, it opens the door for it to become political. It opens the door for it to become political.
Well, that is why the opposition is dealing with it here. We are the opposition. We are dealing with it.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. The lady should get, Donnet should get a lawyer. And this is where any competent lawyer in Guyana would pick up that case pro bono. Say, look, I'm going to fight for you. I'm going to fight for justice. Because you could tell the lady wants a little land and all, and they're trying to bully the woman. Just as the case out in Borbice. I don't know if you ever went from Rosignol to New Amsterdam, telling you look as though all you did was Plaisance and you get a chance to come to America and that's it. You never went Borbice, Mr.
Yes, Simpson. Mark, I went to New Amsterdam and yes. I crossed the river, I did all that stuff. The only place I haven't gone to Linden. I've never went to Linden in my life.
But Gavin never gone to those places anyways, plus Plaisance in America. That's it. But I'm glad that you've gone to New Amsterdam. But when you cross, you use the boat or what you did?
When I was little, I used the boat. When I was a young kid, I went to New Amsterdam, I used the boat. But when I went back to Guyana, I think in 2014, I used the Borbice River Bridge.
Oh, so you were back. Okay. You
Yes.
were back. Yeah, at least you're back recently. We gotta, some people don't go back there, not tall. But when you cross that Rosignol on the ferry and head over to New Amsterdam, that entire area was a busy business area. Busy business area where people go there and they ply their trades and they make their monies. The PVP deprived hundreds of business people in New Amsterdam. That tongue is like a dead tongue. It started to get a little better under the coalition, but it was a dead tongue for the most part under the PVPC because their intention was to kill it economically. And so that area, when you cross from Rosignol over into New Amsterdam, when you go with a boat over into New Amsterdam, that big area there, that big stretch, they got businesses on this side, businesses on the other side. I don't know if you guys know where the Tata bus station used to be. You wouldn't know about that, Mr. Caesar. You only travel once. And there's no evidence that you went there anyways. And so that entire stretch, as you get into New Amsterdam, get off the ferry, right there, one guy named some Hassan or whatever his name is, is claiming that he owns that entire stretch, and he has transport for it since 1954. Where these jagabats, these pakus coming out, but they own this and they own. So right now, he is bullying certain people right there at the Stelling Road, Paula Pollard. Thank you. Right there, they're bullying people. And they went into GPL to tell the GPL people to cut off people's lights. Cut off people's lights. And all manner of things. Corruption upon corruption upon corruption. I am calling on the authority. I'm pulling a CNG. I am calling on the authority in New Amsterdam, the members of parliament for the opposition. There we bring them in to go out in that area, the city council, the mayor, the deputy mayor, to go out in that area and stand up and represent those people who are being bullied by that so-called businessman who showed up with a transport since 1954. Now, how could you get a transport since 1954 on that land where the Tata bus station used to be, right off the ferry into New Amsterdam? Suddenly, what's happening in this country, man? Come on, opposition MPs. Y'all got to go out there and work, Y'all got to work for y'all money. Working for y'all money is not just only in parliament. It's almost $300,000 per month y'all get. Y'all getting a salary. 300,000. And then y'all get to cross the bridge free. I know if there's get free gas, well, I'm throwing that one in. But they got to work. What is your take on what's happening at that Stelling area with those business people, Mr. And I got a call from some people. One of them named Caesar too. Good night, Miss Caesar, if you're watching. Over to you, Mr. Caesar.
Yeah, well, Mark, I don't understand how that land would be owned by a private citizen. When it was the Tata bus station, that land would be government owned. So there should be some measure of investigation there for that person to prove, that they really own that land and they had the documents since 1954. That's quite interesting. But that's something that should be investigated. And yes, the MPs in that area should look into that. Listen, our MPs has got to wake up, man, across the board. This is not about just occupying these seats. This is about execution on behalf of the people. So you guys have to get up. There's that land dispute with that lady that we spoke about earlier. You guys need to get involved. You really do need to get involved. This is not just about bidding for leadership and all these different things. Promotion comes based on your works. You have to execute, and that promotion will automatically come. Let the people determine if you should be promoted or not based on your works. There's so many things that is happening right now across the country that needs to be addressed. We have a government in place that don't care. and install government in place that don't care. You know, they have their supporters running all around the country, claiming land, fighting with people, brandishing weapons, amongst other things. You know, these are things that need to be addressed. You shouldn't allow people that you are representing them. You're their representative, people that is part of your constituency. You should not allow those people to be bullied by PPPC supporters or the PPPC in general. You should not allow that. You need to start standing up, and you guys need to start taking care of business across the board. We know that there's no PPPC MP that is going to come out and say anything. The PPPC MPs don't have any type of backbone at all. They're
Well,
dictated by their dictator.
they're taking the cue from their so-called leaders. The leaders have no backbone. They're spineless. Barajagdev is spineless. Irfan Ali is spineless. And this is what they're doing to the people at that New Amsterdam ferry. This is where the ferry, if you guys remember, this is the area we're talking about. Of course, this was years ago. That little girl standing there, that could very well be one of our listeners right now. It could be, let me see who is, no, that can't be Rhonda Lane. She hasn't gone there. That little girl standing there could very well be Leslyn Hamilton. It could be Shireen Baines, or it could be, it's not Gavin Caesar, but it's, let me see who else it could be. It could be Siobhan McDonald. It could be, who else? Who else? It could be Rhonda Lane or Bernadette James. That little girl, that's the New Amsterdam ferry. Richard Moonsami, how are you doing, sir? I know you know that entire area, right? That entire area's little boys, that's where we used to hang during mass games. How many of you remember mass games? All right, let me just don't go down memory lanes just like that. But this is the area. And on the right side is where on the right-hand side is where the bus stelling used to be. The Tata bus stelling. And then they had the Kayo bus back then too. And so that entire area is what that guy is owning. He claims to own it. He claims to own it. He came with some sort of, in my opinion, it's got to be a bogus transport. Since 1954, he claimed that he Aji or Aja or somebody, he Aji or he Aja, owns it and pass it down to he since 1954. Where is the MP for Borby's area? Pandit Dinesh Jaiprashad. I hope Pandit Dinesh Jaiprashad will go down there and find out what's happening. And since it has to do with an issue with lands and these sort of things, your friend Annette Ferguson should go out there. These are things that these people should be doing. But when you talk, they're vexed. When you talk, their bumps raise. All of the energy we saw leading up to Congress and after Congress now and these sort of things, the same energy they put into Congress and the same energy they put into fight each other, let them use the same energy to fight the PPP, the corrupt PPP regime, and let them use the same energy to represent the people. That is what they got to do. That is why they have been placed there. They haven't been placed there. People didn't vote them for fight each other, cuss down each other, rip down each other. No, that's not what I voted for them to be there, or many of the people in the audience voted for them to be there. Go out and represent your people. What happened to the days when members of parliament used to represent their people, and where the members of parliament can't make it? Activists, real activists, not Facebook activists. Not pick up a thing on Facebook, turn on your camera, and then you call yourself an activist. On the ground with the people, mobilizing the people, protesting with the people, getting locked up with the people. That's what you call activism work. Not social media. I don't believe in social media activism, even though I'm on social media. But I put in the works. And I'm not knocking people who expose the corrupt PPP regime via Facebook, but that's not true activism. And we need to get back to the days where activists on the ground will focus on real activism work. Over to you, man. Over to you.
Mark, our viewers have me laughing with the comments, man.
What is
They
saying?
really do.
Because I like your front. I can't read. What is saying? Read for me now.
Well, one of my good friends is saying that Annette Ferguson deserves a medal for trying to sabotage the PNCR Congress.
Everybody got to get a medal for something. There's no one party. There's no one person that is guilty of it.
Right.
Let me before you continue. Janet Elias, like she's stuck on Granger. You know, I know what Granger do, Janet. Every minute she get here, she know. Granger, they're quietly with the list making mischief. What mischief? Every single thing is somebody making mischief for these people. Y'all got to get over that. Y'all got to get over y'all bums is raised and y'all is everybody created mischief for y'all. Everybody get a plot for y'all. Everybody doing this wrong. Janet, where the donkey there, man? Give Janet the donkey, Mr. Caesar. Give her the donkey tonight.
No, Mark. No, not Janet Elias. No.
No, I wasn't going to do that to Janet. We can't do that to Janet. No, we wouldn't do that to her. But continue, Mr. Caesar. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
we won't do that to her.
Mark, you know, I want
to. One second. Again, Annette Ferguson might not be doing just like most of them in the PNC what they should be doing. Chandel Griffith, do not call Annette Ferguson a demon. Don't do that, man. Chandel, let me don't go that route, man. You know, let's be constructive. I wouldn't tolerate anybody calling any of the MPs demon. You could call them lazy, yes, but not demons and all these sort of things. Let me don't go that route. Over to you, Pastor Caesar.
Yes. No, Annette Ferguson is actually a very good friend of mine. I can call her up anytime, Mark, and she'll pick up the phone. She'll answer me.
Well, I hope the people in New Amsterdam call she up and other places. Let's say I call them and they pick up the phone. Look, now you make my bums raise and don't do that to me. There's not why we elected her for pick up the phone when you call her. Let the people that she's supposed to be representing, let her go out there. Not just Annette Ferguson. Majority of them let her go out there and work, man. Come, look, wait.
All right, Mark. I'm not disagreeing with you. Miss Annette Ferguson, if you're watching tonight, a pleasant good evening to you. And there's some issues in New Amsterdam that needs to be addressed. I suggest that you address them the best way you can, being that you're the shadow minister in that area. Please address those issues. But Mark,
I noticed my good friend Neville Seatal, also known as Civic, is saying since you can't call people demon on this show. Well, I'm not saying y'all can't use the term demons, but don't use it amongst opposition guys. Call them lazy and things. Right? Call them lazy and things. But Neville is asking whether he should call them snakes. Good night to my good friend Civic. But Mr. Caesar, as we look at the time though, what else is on your mind that's bothering you as you're reading some of the comments?
Well, there's something that's bothering me, Mark. Now that the AFC and the PNCR, the biannual congresses are over for both parties. These parties need to be moving aggressively, Mark, to see whether they are going to be going to elections as a coalition. We are getting to the point where we are going to be within a year of elections. I think it's only right, Mark, that these parties be transparent with the people. I think it's time now that these parties start to put together their visions, each party with their own vision, as they get together to renegotiate this Commons Accord. All three parties should come to the table with economic plans. They should come to the table with within that economic plan must also have a robust housing plan for the people of Guyana. And I know the PNCR do have a good housing situation, a good plan that they have in place. They need to put that on the table and make sure that the other two parties are agreeing with it. Mark, there is a Mark.
I know the coalition had a good plan, a good approach. They were building and opening new housing schemes.
Yes.
And they had a better approach under the coalition. We saw that infrastructure, you name it, every single thing was done with the interest of all Guyanese. They did a great job. But what good plan you're saying housing plan the coalition has? You care to
Yes,
mention
I think the PNCR has a plan where they're going to build homes, right? People are going to move into the homes and you're going to pay your rent, right? But you're given a period. Like, for example, when you move into a home, let's say in the United States, right? What are they giving out right now? 30-year mortgages and 15-year mortgages. Okay. So to the extent you move into a home in Guyana that was government built, right? Government built. And I say this, Mark, I'll just touch on this quickly. If the home is going to be government built, let's build the homes the way it was built in the Forbes Burnham time, real solid, robust homes, not the dark kennels that the PPPC would have built and paint up in pink, purple, and all kind of colors for Guyanese to go and live in. Okay, let's build real homes for the people. And Mark, you could, depending on what the financial situation of the individual is, you could give them maybe a 15-year or maybe a 30-year, whatever. But after the person would have paid, Mark, rent through that duration of time given, the property is then given to them. And I feel like if that's a good, affordable situation for Guyanese, because when you're selling land and the land is so expensive, Mark, sometimes people would have bought land and have possession of that land for 10 years and a structure have not gone up on it. That's how hard Guyana has become. I am not saying that it would be the same situation under a coalition government. I expect the situation to be much, much, much better. But what I'm saying is that the certain plans that I've seen put in place by the coalition in opposition thus far, Mark, I am very, very positive that Guyanese are going to be in a much better position under a coalition government. And let me just continue to say that, these three parties, they need to have they need to have good structure, good share values. And under those share values, we need to bring back the Guyana motto, remind people of the Guyana motto. One people, one nation, one destiny needs to be a part of those shared values.
One of the things I think, since it's an oil-rich country, and only the folks who are in Guyana, overseas, outside folks, are benefiting, they're milking the country hundreds of millions of dollars. If I have my way in terms of advising any new government outside of the corrupt PPP regime, is to offer free house lots to young professionals, offer free house lots to the teachers, waive the payment on the house lots, and to have the mortgage, or the bank loans easily accessible for individuals, and the rates should be the lowest. And you give those people the opportunity with that free house lot. They don't have to pay for it $500,000. You know how many people can't afford that? But just imagine if you give them a piece of land, $500,000 a piece of land, $1 million. You give them, and you say, "This is you own this now." You'll able to go to the bank and you'll able to get your transport, and you'll get a loan, whether it's a 5 million or a 10 million, to build your own house. And something like that, I will support 100%. Give them an opportunity. I'm not saying that the rent to own and think the rent is it's some all right-ish. But people want that opportunity, and I would go more with people who have house lots application for all those years. Approve their house lot application. Give them the house lots for free. The infrastructure and all these things, build it so that people can uplift their lives. They can own something. A single mother from Sophia can get an opportunity to breathe again. And policies like that, I would agree with and support 100%. Notice I'm not fully on board with the rent to own. I still think it's an aight, as they would say, an aight idea. But a better idea is to give the people an opportunity to own a piece of land so that they can get that transport, go to the bank, get a nice small loan, and they're able to build a nice house, a 1 bedroom, a 2 bedroom, or a 3 bedroom. Ownership is really, really good. But
Mark, I do agree with you to an extent. Rent, but I say rent to own is a start. But sometimes people like to build their homes in their own image and likeness. They have their own design that they want
I
to put
notice
in
Miss
place.
Kendall is saying, or Mr. Kendall, sorry, Robin, a guy named Robin, a girl named Robin. So sorry, I saw a male picture, so I'm assuming it's a man. Robin Kendall is saying, why the teachers only? I'm not saying that it's the teachers only. I'm just saying it's a start. It could be the teachers. It could be policemen and women who have been on the force for maybe 5 years or more, who do not own a piece of land. You give them access to that. Ownership means a lot. Once you have your transport in your hands, you go to the bank, you can get something out of that. So not just the teachers, but the policemen, the policewomen, the nurses as well, and other public servants, or even those who are now out of university. You give them a start, and that's how you're able to build an economy. You're able to build a nation by doing these sort of things. Your closing remarks, please, Mr. Caesar.
Yeah, Mark, and I think you're leading right into my closing remarks. One of the things that I would like, to the extent we're going to have a new government in 2025, for them to really look into, Mark, is making these public servant careers much, much more attractive. Nurses, firefighters, policemen and women, members of the Guyana Defense Force, these careers need to be made attractive from a financial perspective. The wages need to be much, much better. Right now, they're very, very unattractive. And I say kudos to those young men and women who continues to serve in the Guyana Defense Force, and the good ones who are serving in the Guyana Police Force, the Guyana Fire Service, and to our nurses and teachers. These careers, Mark, they need to be made more attractive. So I hope, once a new government is in place, that these things really happen and they are placed at the forefront. Because what I would expect a new government to be doing first and foremost is to be addressing the Guyanese people directly. I think every Guyanese should have access to electronic banking. Okay, something from the oil revenue should be transferred to everyone on a yearly basis. I cannot call an amount because I don't know the numbers. I don't know how many
You're the numbers guy. Do the numbers. Why wait a whole year to transfer? Do the dividend division on this here. 12 months per year. People want something every month in their bank account. Don't wait until a whole year. Every single month.
Well, Mark. First of all, you got to look at the overall numbers before you can make such a decision, because you don't want to put something in everybody's account every month and then you leave the country on broke, right? If we are efficiently tapping into all our resources, because we have lumber, we still have bauxite, we have gold that has not been hitting our economy because the gold is being smuggled out. All these industries are, Mark, the new government need to reel in. They need to see what contracts is in place. They need to see what's happening. They need to see the revenue stream. They need to look to see also what the revenue stream was during the PPPC administration.
A
Mark,
proper
I'm going to say
government,
this. Mark,
Mr. Caesar, this corrupt PPP regime is wasting and stealing hundreds of millions of dollars. You're telling me with a population of just under $750,000, when you do the math in terms of the adults, head of household, you give each household $100,000 per month for the next 5 years. Do the math. Do the math and see how that works out.
Mark,
it can
that
happen.
that is possible. That is more than possible. But what we have to do up front, Mark, we have to see the numbers. We have to see the aggregate numbers across the board.
We see the numbers from Exxon, the billions upon billions of US dollars they're making.
65 million an hour. Yes, I see that. $65 million an hour. I see that, Mark.
And outside of that, who you think the taxpayers, the hardworking people in Guyana, they're the ones who are paying for the luxury lifestyle of all those big executives at Exxon and the contractors and all. Every time they fly out of that country, they're not paying for it. The taxpayers, every time they eat at Pegasus or what's that other, Marriott or wherever, taxpayers of Guyana paying for that. But the poor, ordinary, hardworking people can't see a plate of food at Marriott. They can't jump and fly business class and first class. They can't. But the people who are milking that country, who are ripping the country off out of billions of dollars with the help of those pacus in the PPP, they're the only ones who are benefiting. Auntie Savitri from Port Morant can't see a cent. Waveney from Sophia can't see a cent. Data from Essequibo can't see a cent. Desiree from Linden can't see a cent. They can't. Because that is how the system is made under a corrupt regime. You punish the poor people. You build some sort of substandard roads for them. I say, look, Abigail, your roads. You don't give them lights. You don't give them proper water. Every single thing is corruption upon corruption. But as long as this corrupt PPP regime is changed and a better government is in place with visionaries, then and only then we will see a difference in that country.
You know, Mark, I could not agree with you more, and I'm looking at the comments, and I do agree with the people that Guyanese need money. Yes, I totally agree with them on that. But like I said, how much money? You have to look at the numbers, because you have to remember, Mark, as a country, you still have expenditures. The PPPC have taken out so many loans amongst other things, Mark. When I say you got to look at what's coming in, you got to look at what's coming in. You got to get your expenditures covered first, Mark, because you know that you have to pay interest on those loans. There's no way that you can cop out on that. Okay, the people will come, they'll take back their highways, they'll take back whatever it is that they would have invested in. So once you get the numbers together, and I agree, the PPPC does owe the Guyanese people, because for this first 5 years, Mark, they've gotten nothing. So they should get what they deserve the next 5 years, plus a top up for what they would have missed this first 5 years. I agree on that. And it should be significant money.
Thank you so much, Mr.
It should be significant money.
As we thank all of you in the audience. See you back tomorrow, same place, same time, right here on 107.1 FM. Mr. Caesar, thank you so much for your time, and please give my regards to Ronair whenever you see him. God bless you.
I will do, Mark. Thank you so much for having me, and good evening to all our listeners and viewers. Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, Wayne Caesar there for you guys. We're out of here. Wayne spoke about the direct transfer through the bank, of course. Guyana should have implemented that a while back, but because of this corrupt PPP regime, it can't happen. And I always say to some close friends, a couple of years ago when I was in China, I was at a market, and even the oldest Chinese woman or Chinese man, they're selling, even if it's fruits they're selling. You don't handle money. There's no cash. There's no nothing. You just swipe your phone onto their stuff and that's it. And you make your payment straight into their account. Straight everything you do in China, everything you do in China, you just swipe it straight into their banks. Guyana is just a population of 750,000. Read between the lines. 750,000, and you can't get it right. You can't get GPL right. You can't get a phone system right. You can't get an internet system right. Every single day, blackouts upon blackouts upon blackouts. You can't get the roads right. You can't get anything right. All because of a corrupt, inept PPP regime. Someday soon, in our lifetime though, the question is, will we get it right? I think so. Get yourselves ready to vote these vagabonds out of office, because this time, not a long time. I'm out of here. If you're celebrating your birthday today or recently you did, or you're celebrating it tomorrow, happy birthday to you. If you lost a loved one, our condolences to you. If you're celebrating some sort of anniversary, happy anniversary. If you're graduating, well, then we wish you all the best as well. God bless you. Mwah.
This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. Long time got some lang logi, now you got some bungalow. Long time got some lang logi, now you got some bungalow. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. Long time got some dirty dam, now you got some concrete road. Long time got some dirty dam, now you got some concrete road. Long time got some dirty dam, now you got some concrete road. Long time got some dirty dam, now you got some concrete road. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. Long time got some juk lamp, now you got some electric light. Long time got some juk lamp, now you got some electric light. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. Long time got some broad bottom, now you got some tight straight. Long time got some broad bottom, now you got some tight straight. Long time got some broad bottom, now you got some tight straight. Long time got some broad bottom, now you got some tight straight. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. Long time got some broad churia, now you got some bamboo jai. Long time got some broad churia, now you got some bamboo jai. Long time got some broad churia, now you got some bamboo jai. Long time got some broad churia, now you got some bamboo jai. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. This ain't a long time, this ain't a long time, this not a before time. Long time pulang bukit wata, now you got some overhead. Long time pulang bukit wata, now Hawk 2. Hawk 2. Hawk 2. Hawk 2.
Yeah, my name is Jasmine Caldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my X next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data. I have none.